We are blessed beyond measure, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, so there was a man who climbed to the top of Mount Sinai, and he wanted to get really close to God. So he was looking up at God, and he says, "Hey, God, what does 1,000,000 years mean to you?" And God replied, "A minute." And so then the man asked, "What does $1,000,000 mean to you?" And God replied, "A penny." So then the man asked, "Can I have a penny?" And God replied, "In a minute." So our theme for the merry month of May is flourishing. Cultivate your spiritual power. Reverend Sharon comes up with these great themes, doesn't she? Yeah? So that theme gives me the awesome opportunity to talk about abundance and prosperity and opulence. So I have a minister friend who often makes the statement, "I've been rich and I've been poor, and honey, believe me, I'd rather be rich." So being rich, though, means different things to different people, to each of us, really. So I'm going to give you my definition of rich this morning. My definition is that it's living from the knowing, that absolute knowing that God is my source. It's having good health, harmonious relationships, work and leisure time activities that I enjoy, that are fun. They have to be fun, and that they give me pleasure. And it's also having money to spend and to share. That's my definition of rich, prosperous. So during Lent, is my favorite time of the year. I really enjoyed the Unity booklet this year. It was called Release and Reimagine. It was excellent. And each day either had a release statement with a little story or explanation with it, or a reimagine statement, and that had a little explanation too. And on March 16th, the reading was to release scarcity. And on the 17th then of March, it was to reimagine abundance. And in reimagining abundance, the invitation was to take steps toward new possibilities for abundant living. And the author of this page, her name was Veronica Walker Douglas. I don't know her, but she gave 5 A's of abundance to explore. And this page really resonated with me because I so enjoy teaching and living prosperously, abundantly. So today I'd love to share with you my take on those 5 A's. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. So the first A is align. ALIGN. Align with God as the infinite source of health, harmony, well-being, and wealth. That's easy peasy, right? Yeah. God is my source. God is my source. You want to say that with me? God is my source. Now, one more time with some gusto, okay? God is my source. Great, okay. So on my prosperity journey, I had a hard time with this one. I really did. I didn't understand the concept. I always thought that my source was, first my parents and my job, then my husband, or bank loans or whatever. See, the God of my understanding at the beginning of this journey didn't seem to be the source of all good. That wasn't the kind of God I had in my mind. That wasn't, for me, that was not the one that I could relate to. And because I so wanted to live a better life than I was living at that time, I listened to what my teachers and my mentors were saying. They were saying that we live in an abundant universe, and abundance is our spiritual birthright. See, and I checked out the scriptures and took, our teacher, our Wayshower, our brother Jesus at his word when he said, I am come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. That's in John 10:10. And when he said, consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil, nor do they spin. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. And if God so then clothed the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? We find that in Luke 27 or 12. And I came then into the full agreement with these words, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. That's in Luke 12. And on this journey I was on, I said yes. I said yes to our co-founder Charles Fillmore's words in his book, Prosperity. This is what he said. The spiritual substance from which comes all visible wealth is never depleted. It is right with you all the time and responds to your faith in it and your demand on it. It is not affected by our ignorant talk of hard times, though we are affected because of our thoughts and words govern our demonstration. And he goes on to say, pour your living words of faith into the omnipresent substance, and you will be prospered, though all the banks in the world close their doors. See, I came to know the truth, not only up here, but right down here in my heart. I was able, along the line with lots of practice, to exercise my faith muscles and to know the truth. The spiritual truth that there is more than enough of everything. There is more than enough, way more than enough for all of our wants, needs, requirements, and dreams. So living, knowing God is our one and only source, is the number one requirement to a prosperous life. The absolute number one requirement. So I want you to say this with me now. God is my source. I align with God, the infinite source of all my good. Let's try it one more time. God is my source. I align with God, the infinite source of all my good. Okay. So the second A in the 5 A's of abundance is ask. Ask. And this is not another one that was not so easy for me. See, when I started this journey of abundance, I only knew what I didn't want. I only know what I didn't want. So asking for what I wanted was really a challenge. But I finally caught on after a little while. And so I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to help you with this in case you're having trouble with this. This requires you to ask for what you want. to open to receive all that God has for you. So, okay, with your eyes closed, what do you want? What do you want? What is the desire of your heart right now? Now, what do you want for you? Not for someone else, not for someone else. What do you want? What do you want? And I'm going to quit talking for a few seconds, and I want you to ask for it now to yourself. What do you want? You all got it? Okay, so now keep your eyes closed yet. And if there's any fears coming up here or doubts, I want you to let go of any of those fears, any of those, oh, but I don't, that kind of thing. Just open to receive, open to receive, open to receive all the good that Spirit has for you right now. Open to receive. And still keeping your eyes closed, we're going to move to the third A, which is accept. So I want you to silently affirm, I accept. I accept. I accept what I asked for. I am worthy. I am so worthy. I am worthy of unlimited abundance. I am worthy of unlimited abundance right now. So sit in this knowing for a little bit. Just sit there. You've asked and accepted. So sit in that knowing. You've asked, you accept. You have claimed you are worthy of that great good. And now you can open your eyes and we can affirm together, I am worthy of unlimited abundance. I ask and I accept it now. Wahoo! Okay, yeah, ta-da! Okay. Okay, so now we've got 2 more to go, though. Got that one, those 2 down. You did good work there. I felt it. So our fourth A is allow. Allow. Allow abundance to flow freely in all areas of your life. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you might find it hard to believe, okay? You might find it hard to believe that sometimes we block our good. Really? Yeah, really? Maybe you guys don't. I certainly have done that. Seriously, we block our good sometimes by our thoughts, by our words, by our deeds. Yeah. Charles Fillmore also writes, poverty or prosperity, it all depends on you. All that the Father has is yours, but you alone are responsible for the relationship to the Father's good to your life. Yep, we're responsible. That dreaded R word, responsible. You and I are responsible because, as Papa Charlie says, through us, God's abundance of good finds its expression. So a consciousness of plenty will express itself in a manifestation of plenty, right? So that means that a prosperity consciousness is a consciousness, an awareness that we are to think from feel from, believe from, speak from, act from, and respond from a place that says, from source God, I was created. In source, in God, I live and move and have my being. And by the source of God within, I am fed and prospered. And that, this spiritual substance, God, is steadfast and immovable, enduring, ever the same, constant, abundant, freely circulating, and available. That's the truth. And when we embody these ideas, when we allow these ideas to our consciousness and truly live what we embody, takes practice, then we will have created an abundance consciousness, which in turn will express itself in a manifestation of abundance, as us, to us, and through us. Yay, God. Yeah. So affirm with me now. I allow abundance to flow freely in all areas of my life. I am prosperous. Another time. I allow abundance to flow freely in all areas of my life. I am prosperous. Do you feel it? Yeah, okay. So our A number 5 is assist. Assist others by sharing your time, talent, energy, and resources. Okay, we're at the part now where the rubber meets the road. Okay? Sharing our time, talent, energy, and resources. Yep. So this is the time that we're going to talk about tithing. Lock the doors, so nobody, this is when we're, okay. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, this is important. This is important. This is important. All right. And then I want you to take a big breath and just open to what I'm going to say next, okay? In the words again of Charles Fillmore in his book, Prosperity, this is what he says. The great promise of prosperity, that is, if we seek God and his righteousness first, then all shall be added unto us. One of the most practical and sensible ways of seeking God's kingdom first is to put God first in finances. When we put God first in our finances, not only in thought, but in every act, by releasing our first fruits, a 10th part of our increase or income, to the Lord, our faith in the omnipresent supply becomes 100-fold stronger, and we prosper accordingly. Obeying this law gives an inner knowing that we are building our finances on a sure foundation that will not fail us. It is the promise of God, the logical thing to do, and the experience of all who have tried it, that all things necessary to their comfort, welfare, and happiness has been added to them in an overflowing measure. He's a smart guy. I've shared my prosperity story many times, and many of you have heard it. And I've been a tither for close to 40 years now. And it's probably the most powerful spiritual law that I have unfailingly, since I really began it, or started it, that I unfailingly followed. Through good times and so not so good times, but I've unfailingly followed it. And it's a promise that's come true for me in every way, in all ways. Truly, All things necessary for my life have been provided in overflowing measure. I am prosperous. I live blessed. I live an abundant life. Now, we probably are all familiar with the Prove Me Now tithing challenge. You all familiar with that? The Prove Me Now challenge that was given, as it appears in Malachi 3:10. It's a powerful challenge and it's a powerful promise. But maybe you don't know that before God made that challenge to us, Jacob, who was at a very low point in his life, made a challenge to God. And it really in the scripture it said he made a covenant with God. So in which he asked for prosperity, and he asked for guidance, he asked for peace of mind and reconciliation with his family. And many of those things that we ask God for, right? Some of those same things. And in turn, Jacob made a promise to God. He said, of all that you give me, I will give 1/10 to you. And it seems that God took Jacob up on this idea, because guess what? He blessed him with all those things that he had asked for, every one of them. Catherine Ponder, another great prosperity teacher in the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, writes, it is little wonder that Jacob became one of the Bible's earliest millionaires. She goes on to say, those who tithe, taking God as their financial partner, today realize that this holy alliance will help them to prosper in just and orderly ways, just as it did Jacob. So many times I've heard from numerous tithers, and I agree with this, that this doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. Did you hear that? Doesn't have to be hard. Taking God as our financial partner and entering in to a holy alliance works. It has prospered many, just as it prospered Jacob. And one of the interesting things that I found about tithing that I've experienced, and others that have done this as well, is that if we give 10% off the top of whatever income or whatever comes into our household, if we give 10% off the top to God's work and to God's workers, to people and places where we get our spiritual food, those people and places that remind us who we are, where we are inspired, we'll never feel that 10%. It's pretty easy. But here's a but in here. If we wait to give God 10% off the bottom, we'll never do it. If we say, I'm just going to wait until I get all my bills paid and then I'm going to give God 10%, then it's never going to happen. If we give 10% off the top to God's work and workers, to the people or places where we are spiritually fed and inspired, where we are reminded of who we are, we'll never feel it. But if we wait, I'm saying this again, but if we wait to give that 10% off the bottom, we'll never do it. God must come first. God must come first in our finances. God must come first in our lives, period. In every area of our lives, God must come first. So we share our time also, our talent, our energy. Give a part of your day to good works. I think most of you do probably. But just even hold the door for somebody. Smile. Just give somebody a hug. Volunteer. I think there are many opportunities right here in this spiritual community. And I caught on TV last week that the Pat Tillman run, the whatever that run is, and the motto of Pat Tillman was service beyond self. Service beyond self. That means kind of like serving to live and living to serve. Selfless service. So in addition to the tithing of our finances, putting God first in our finances, we want to put God first in every part of our life. Okay? So that's it. There's some other components like forgiveness and all that I'm not going into today, but I will some other time. So that's it. The 5 A's. So I want to say them together, okay? Align, ask, accept, allow, and assist. So you got them all? You got them all, okay. So I just want to ask you to be willing to reimagine abundance. Be willing to reimagine abundance in your life, and then commit to practicing these 5 A's. And I got to tell you, you will prosper beyond your wildest dreams. And that's absolutely the truth. And it's a promise. God bless you.